is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. So, of course, the teams are now being announced for the first round of the July Internationals. We've already got a bunch of videos on the go. We've done South Africa versus Wales, we've done New Zealand versus Ireland, and we've done Australia versus England. I'm beginning to forget I'm doing that many videos today. So many going on at one time. So it's time for Argentina versus Scotland. I've already seen a couple of comments. People are really looking forward to this game, apparently. So what we do in these preview videos, we're going to check the teams over here, and that way we'll go through all the players, have a look who we think could have maybe been some replacements, and finally we will give a score prediction. So starting off, Argentina. Now, Argentina haven't got to play at home for a while. They've been on the road for like 3 years or something. They haven't played at home for a long time. So it'll probably be really nice for them to get back to playing a home game and try and cement their game a little bit. Feels like Argentina have been in a weird place for a good while. We saw them beat the All Blacks. We've seen them lose to like low-end B teams from other teams. We saw them have a draw against a Wales team last year. I don't think the Wales team were necessarily at the highest peak. So I find it quite hard to gauge where Argentina are at. So hopefully they can try and cement it a bit now leading towards the World Cup. So starting off in this front row. Now, Argentina are by no means my sort of most knowledge teams. There'll be quite a few names here that I probably don't know. So starting off in this front row, we've got Tetas Chaparro. No idea, but it's a great name by all means. Julian Montoya and then Gomez Cadella. So Julian Montoya is taking back over this team now. Now, there was a bit of things at one point about whether or not he was going to remain captain. They swapped the captains around. Pablo Matera took over a little bit. So nice to see him back in as captain. They're obviously trying to switch back to more the way they played. So be interested to see how he gets on. In terms of the lock department, we've got Guido Petty and Matias Alemano. So in terms of the Argentina team, they just love being aggressive. They're just going to come for you. They've got a lot of big lads. They like to get in there. I'm trying to think back now to some games I've seen from Argentina. The line-out is never necessarily the cleanest. They've had games before where they can get their discipline absolutely down. They can get their set plays down. The game, of course, a lot of people remember will be that one where they beat New Zealand. It feels like a while ago now, but in that game, they really played extremely well. They kept the penalty count low. They kept the set plays up well. So I think if they can get those sort of set areas again, I think they could be on for some good games here. In the back row, we've got Gonzalez Samzo, Marcos Kramer, and Pablo Matera. Now, when we talk about discipline, these are a couple of names where you want to be on the lookout here. Now, Kramer and Pablo Matera, both of which have had spells, shall we say, in the past where discipline, not necessarily the best, not in terms of just the in-game stuff, like maybe giving a penalty here or there, mainly for just like punching people in the face or a cheeky shoulder charge. We do see it a lot. Argentina are the team that they just get so fiery. They're so up for the game. I believe Pablo Matera is actually now playing over in New Zealand. I think I saw him. Was it the Crusaders he plays for now? I've seen some highlights from over there. He seems to be playing good rugby. So it's going to be interesting to see what bringing that knowledge of playing New Zealand level rugby into Argentina. Maybe he can be a lead in some of these training sessions. Maybe we're going to see some quite expansive rugby from Argentina. It'll be a lot of fun to check out. In terms of the backs then, Thomas Cubelli and Nicolas Sanchez taking over in that halfback partnership. That is probably the 9-10 we're most used to. Nicolas Sanchez, of course, pretty good on the boot, has a really high kicking ratio unless you bet on him. That was something I experienced last time we had Argentina. I bet on Nicolas Sanchez to kick and he just started missing them all. But Thomas Cubelli, good player in terms of running the ball with hand. He's one of those scrum halves who just loves that little show and go darting run. Certainly makes his way around. In terms of box kicking, pretty good, pretty on it. It's just the chase kicks normally is the issue I always think from Argentina. They, for whatever reason, they like doing these box kicks, but sometimes people don't chase them. Don't know why. Just settle down their game. Hopefully they can get on with it. In terms of the centre channel, we have Geronimo De La Fuente. Great name. Absolutely brilliant. But no, De La Fuente is, of course, a good player. And then Orlando taking over. Now, Orlando is someone I don't know a lot about, so interesting to see how those two get on together. And then in the back three, we have Boffelli, Santiago Cordero, and Juan Cruz Malia. Now, again, Malia, not someone I know, but Cordero and Boffelli are very much their sort of go-to guys. They're the two names you'll see a lot. Now, Boffelli is playing good rugby at the minute. I'm really looking forward to see how he'll cope on this wing, because the Scotland wingers, they have a good range of wingers in terms of Scotland players, but defensively, They've been known in the past for wingers to not necessarily have the best game. And people like Boffelli, who's also not just good at carrying with the ball in hand and got good speed, he's also quite a good footballer, which is what not a lot of people talk about. The little chip chase, the little kick around, the little grubber kicks and stuff. He's pretty on it. So you've got to watch out for those little sniping runs he can do around the outside of it. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on. In terms of the replacements, we've got Krivi Vivas Sclavi, who's a name I don't know. Of course, he's making his debutant. Sin caps. However, it's on the thing that I think that means no caps or uncapped. So looking forward to seeing him. Lukos Paulos, great name. I remember him. Issa, interesting to not see Issa not in the starting team. He does get into the team quite a lot. So an interesting call there, but again, this is quite a strong bench potentially coming on here. Gonzalo Bertrano Carreras and Matias Moroni. So in fact, that realization just kicked in for me there. That's actually a pretty decent set of bench going to be going on in that second half. That might be the setup. They might well be going for a bit of a holdout game and then bring on some more experienced players later on. Bertrano Carreras and Moroni, all three of them can come on in that second half and make a big impact. So overall, not a bad team. I'm never going to claim to be the most knowledgeable about Argentina. I do try and learn about some of the players and stuff. But I'd be interested to see how they get on against a Scotland team who, I don't know. Scotland have been up and down a little bit recently. They had a good Six Nations last year. I thought they had quite a good summer and autumn tour. Then the last Six Nations we just had in the 2022, they had some really good games, and then some games I just found a bit disappointing from them. So I think coming into this summer series now, I want to see Scotland just gel this together. They're slowly beginning to get a bit more of a team knitted together. This is a good opportunity to get some different players in and get them a bit more experience. Talking of which, we need to move on to the Scotland team then. So starting off in this front row, Pierre Schoeman, George Turner and Xander Fagerson. That was pretty much what we were going to be expecting, I would imagine, for most people. This is, again, a sort of setup we'll see now for Scotland. This team will slowly be beginning to get more cohesive in the names you'll begin to see from the Six Nations and moving on to future games they get towards that World Cup. In terms of the lock department, Grant Gilchrist and Johnny May. Grant Gilchrist taking over the captaincy. We did see this, that they started talking about they're going to try some new captains and stuff, and with people like Hogg, Finn Russell out or being rested, I think it's a good chance to allow some different people. Grant Gilchrist is a really good player, does a lot of hard work in the background that not a lot of people see, including myself sometimes. You don't realise quite how much he's up to, so nice to see him there. Back three, Magnus Bradbury, Luke Crosby and Matt Fagerson. This comes across as a bit of a striking back three. Magnus Bradbury and Matt Fagerson are both two of those sort of players that I just see them ball in hand, like I'm going through you. So I'm going to be interested to see how these guys cope with this. This could be a slightly different Scotland now. Scotland have moved to be a little bit more expansive, a little bit more tricky, couple of kicks over the top. They're definitely playing around with it. But this looks like there might be some injection of pace from the forward. So nice to see how that'll get on. In terms of the back, Ali Price and Blair Kinghorn will be taking up their mantle. Now, the fly half situation for Scotland has been very weird going into this one. They've dropped some big names. They're resting a couple of players, allowing some new people to get in. Blair Kinghorn, of course, does play at fly half in terms of club level. Very experienced in it. I don't necessarily rate him the best in terms of fly half. I much prefer to see him on the wing or at fullback when they utilise him and actually give him the ball. From fly half, I've never really seen Blair have the flair. Let's put it like that. I never see him doing things that, really open a game up. I see him much more as methodical distribution play. He's not going to be doing these amazing things. He's going to be receiving the ball from Ali Price and he's picking it who he's passing to, up to them to do something. That's what I think of Blair Kinghorn. I'm sure people will disagree with me there. Hopefully in this tour we get to see him just expand a bit, do a bit of a Finn Russell thing, do something wild, who knows, a bit more exciting. In terms of the centres then, Sam Johnson and Mark Bennett. This could be a combo that could be fun to watch. I did see Mark Bennett, what was I even watching? I saw Mark Bennett play the other week and he's looking in good form, to be fair. Sam Johnson had a good Six Nations, so I think that'll be a nice partnership. I don't really feel like we've got to see that partnership a lot at international, actually. Mark Bennett and Sam Johnson. That could be nice to watch. And then in that back three, Duan van der Merwe, Darcy Graham, and Rory Hutchinson. Now, Duan van der Merwe, big player, going to be going in on that wing. So I think they'll try and use him again, a bit like a forward. It's going to be a physical game versus Argentina. I question his defence in the past, but actually in the Six Nations, I thought he had slightly better defence than we've seen from him previously. Darcy Graham, that little step inside guy, that's going to be a great wing. In fact, the 14 and the 11 from Argentina, they could have a really fun battle. Both fast players, both quite cheeky players, good steps, good kicking. Looking forward to seeing that battle. And then Rory Hutchinson getting a chance at this fullback position now. No Hogg, so I think there's a good chance to just experiment with different players. Overall, this is a good sprinkling here. This is not necessarily the best Scotland team. I wouldn't say. There's certainly bigger names you could put in this team, but they've got enough sprinkling of high-capped players with just lesser-capped players. No uncapped players, not messing about. This is still a solid team. This is still someone that can work together. Coming from club level, a lot of these lads playing together as well. I don't actually think it's a bad team. It might be quite a clever move just to get a few more of these lads used to top-tier international. And then finally, the replacements for them. We've got Ewan Ashman, Rory Sutherland, Javan Sebastian, Sam Skinner, Rory Darge, Ben White, Ross Thompson, and Sione Tuipulotu. So, a strong bench, actually. I'm quite surprised by how strong that actually is. Rory Darge coming in on that second half will be interesting. Argentina love just using their forwards, relying on the forwards to do stuff. So when they begin to tire, bringing someone like Rory Darge on, fast player, absolutely a good move. Sam Skinner, good coverage in terms of that lock department as well, can come on. 4-5, quite interchangeable, nice to see. Rory Sutherland bringing the caps. Ewan Ashman got some good experience behind him as well. Tuipulotu, I would imagine will come on for... I kind of more think of him as an inside centre, but they have had Sam Johnson on a lot more recently in terms of playing the full 80. We might see him come on for Mark Bennett and see how they work together, or they might put him on at that inside centre. Just to see Mark Bennett, who he works best with. That'd be interesting to see. There's some good players here. Ben White, again. I would like to see Ali Price play first half, put Ben White in the second half, really have some competition going for that scrum half position, because I think there's some up-and-coming players now in this Scotland team who've sort of come out of nowhere and are playing at a high level. So we're going to be really, really fun game to watch. I think both teams have called this sort of right. They've both not put on necessarily the biggest team. They've put on some lesser capped players, some uncapped players. They're both coming in. They're both going to be testing their teams against the other team testing their team. Great fun to watch. These will probably be some really big games. I think both teams have actually almost called it the same similarly in terms of the bench. Quite an experienced bench going to be coming on later. High caps, higher experience. I would probably say in terms of caps across the board, maybe Argentina have more caps on the bench, but I certainly think Scotland have more caps going on in the starting 15. So what do we think for score prediction? This is another one that could go either way. I feel like Scotland have some potential here, especially if they loosen up a bit and don't just try and do formula stuff. If they try and play a bit of expansive rugby, we know Argentina are going to use those forwards. There's a lot of fiery characters in that Argentina. There's always the chance for cards to be shown. But then Xander Ferguson's there. He always has that card to be shown chance. I think I'm actually going to lean towards Scotland for this one. I did look at the odds before doing this video. Argentina are actually favourites going into this. I'm tempted to lean towards Scotland. And I feel like they've got the opportunity here to actually get a good couple of points, because there's a lot of potential try-scoring players there, and I don't think they're going to learn a lot by just taking 3. I can see Scotland trying to open this up and use their backs a little bit. I'm going to say a Scotland win, and I'm going to say Scotland to win by 10. That might be a bit adventurous. But I'm going to call a big one. But let me know what you guys think. Who do you think's perfect for this team? Who do you think's been left off? What do you think the score prediction will be, and who do you think will win? Of course, we are doing the Super Brew League on the channel. Make sure you go join. You have one day, singular one day to go join up to that before the first game kicks off tomorrow, like late afternoon. It's Australia A. That's when the Super Brew starts. You can, of course, join later on if you so wish, but it might be hard to just sort of catch up with some of those points and stuff, but absolutely can happen. We've seen the Predictor series go wild before, so absolutely worth it. But make sure you do try and check that video out and join up if you want to. We've already got a bunch of people, lots of fun to join in with. If you enjoyed this one today, guys, make sure to drop it a like. We are going to be doing post-match match reports for as many of these games as I can handle physically. As a one-man army trying to do this, so make sure you are subscribed just to keep up to date when all the latest videos come out. And I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.